Welcome back to another episode of Cappuccino Chat. This time we're going to talk about asking the question of, is your doctor exposing your data? Now, I'm picking on doctors a little bit here, and that's just because I've gone to visit a couple of them here in the Valley, and I got to tell you, they're not always doing what they need to do. Now, by law, your doctor is mandated to protect your data. There are a lot of other places that are not necessarily as mandated. California is making changes to this for businesses that are larger in size. Eventually that is going to filter down to everyone, and we're all going to have to be concerned with and be regulated by protecting the consumer's information. Back to doctors. The reason I'm bringing this up is we all at some point go to the doctor. Throughout the day we visit different places and do business with different people. I want you to think about everyone that you're giving your data to and how valuable that data is. For instance, in your doctor's office, when you walk in, can you see the computer screen and your information on it? If so, that means others can also see that information. When you go into the exam rooms, do they leave you in the room with nobody else in there with you, with your information up on the screen? If so, you could possibly get to any data within the system. And again, they may be inadvertently exposing your data. We need to ask questions of those we're doing business with. And just day to day, we don't think about that we're doing business with our doctors, our dentists, and our vision professionals. So when you're going to visit them, ask them how they protect your data and what they're doing. Now, some of them may give you like a HIPAA consent form or let you know that they're doing their HIPAA compliance. Just by you signing that form does not make them HIPAA compliant. There are things they need to do in addition to that. Like I said, you shouldn't be able to see their computer screens, because if you can see it, again, others can also see it. Now, I've got another scary story. How many would think your data would be exposed at a grocery store? Well, a colleague of mine in the industry was at a grocery store a month or so back, and they had a table set up to collect credit card information for people applying for a credit card. Well, the person sitting there at the table had an additional monitor, and that monitor was facing the person who is signing up. And it's probably set up to confirm information as that person is typing it in for them. But they're inadvertently allowing everybody who walks by to also see that information. It's a fairly big size monitor. He captured all of this on video and posted it online. Hopefully that grocery store learned its lesson and isn't going to do something like that again. But how often do we run into that same circumstance throughout our day? Do we truly know what those online vendors and shopping cart systems are doing with our data when we give it to them? Now, we've talked about different security in the past, making sure your web browser is secure, your computers are up to date, but what happens when you give that data? You don't know what happens to that person's system. You're not involved in their day-to-day computer operations. So how can you verify that things are safe? One way that we talked about in the past is making sure that you're using a different password for each website, company, whatever you may be dealing with, so that if a password becomes compromised, it only gives them access to that one location. Yes, that could still be very dangerous. For instance, your bank. Almost all of us nowadays do online banking. If someone was to get that password, they could do a lot of damage. So we don't want to use that same password for our bank that we use for logging into our computer or our email or our Amazon account, because if anything outside of our control gets breached and that password gets exposed, we could inadvertently do extra damage to ourselves. Now, just like at the doctor's office, when you go to the bank and maybe you're checking on your account or opening a new account for your kids or yourself, and they're collecting data from you, your address, date of birth, all the typical stuff, your mother's maiden name. How is that data being handled once you give it over? Is it a piece of paper that you're giving over? Are you typing it into a computer? What's happening to that data afterwards? If you are printing it on a piece of paper, are they shredding that piece of paper when you're done? How do you know that that paper isn't being left behind? Real easy, it's happened a lot, been in the news before, where cleaning crews have come back and pulled personal information out of the trash with people's social security numbers, telephone, address, all that good information right out of the trash. So again, make sure. Now, if your password is exposed and your data is exposed, how would you even know that it happened, right? So one way is if they broke into your bank account and you log in and you got zero funds, right? That's probably one way to know, but we don't want that to happen. So one way to do it is monitor for it. Because if I told you right now, I have your password to your bank account, what would you do? Really, what would you do? Yes, you'd change your password right away to something more difficult. That's exactly right. That's what you should do. So how do you find out? Well, one way is monitoring the dark web. Now, this is where the cyber criminals like to do their business and talk to each other and sell things. So if someone was to breach a system, like in the past we've had happen with Home Depot, Target, some of the hospitals, and others, once they're done using that information, they post it and sell it on the dark web. How can we find that information? Well, one, I don't recommend that you go browsing around the dark web. If you don't know what you're doing, you're again going to be inadvertently exposing yourself to them, and you may cause a lot more damage than what you could have by not going there. But most usernames are our email address, and we share our email addresses everywhere. If I logged on to any of your social media right now, I'm sure your email address is there for me to get. 99% of the time, all the websites and businesses that we do business with and transactions with, that email address is our username. So again, they're halfway home. Now, if they somehow find your password from another site that was breached, they now have the other side of the coin and they can fully get into all the different websites. And they will try them, different banks, Amazon, almost everybody does business with Amazon, so on and so forth. So, by using those different passwords, if one was to become exposed and on the dark web, you would know exactly who was breached and you would only need to log on to one place and change it. That would save you a lot of time. Now, we offer a monitoring service, and for those of you that may not have had our free one-time scan done for you, I'm going to put a link below this video. Please click on it, fill out the form, and I will run a free one-time scan of your domain name. Now, it can't be Gmail or Outlook or AOL. It needs to be your business name, domain name. I'll run a free one-time scan for you and get back to you with the results to make sure that nothing's going on. If you'd like to monitor this going forward, it's a service we offer and I'll be glad to talk to you about that. On the personal side, there's a lot of credit monitoring services out there that are also now offering this as part of that service for your personal email addresses. And I highly recommend you do that. All right, so this is Cappuccino Chat, and it's been a while since I've talked about coffee. Not much has changed for me, although I no longer use milk in my coffee. No, I'm not drinking it black. I've decided to go with almond milk, and I was surprised that I actually like it. So it makes me feel a little bit better throughout the day, and I don't mind the taste. It actually turned out great for me. So if you'd like to be on Cappuccino Chat and how you talk to your clients about how you use technology to better service them, let me know. If you've got a good cup of coffee or a place to go that you'd like to share with me, also let me know. Until next time, talk to you later.